Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Our first point of business for this week is to look at a cute sloth picture. So here you go. Here's this happy little guy to brighten up your day. Next point of business is to talk about the assignment deadlines. So they're going to change a little bit. So today, your assignment that was due from over the weekend is due at noon, as usual. But then your assignment that normally would be due Wednesday, we're going to put together with the assignment for Friday. So you'll have one more assignment due this week for this class, and it will be due Friday. And after today, all of the deadlines will be pushed to midnight instead of noon, just to help a little bit in case any of you are really busy during the day and might forget. So on Friday, your assignment for this week, including all of the grammar exercises, will be due at midnight. So you'll still have grammar exercises from the chapter, but they will all be due Friday instead of both Wednesday and Friday. And then this following Monday, next week, the 6th, I believe, you'll have your regular worksheet assignment and reading, and that will be due Monday at midnight. So you'll start having 2 assignments per week instead of 3 to help out with whatever you might have going on in your lives. So after that, we're going to go ahead and start our 4-H grammar content. So today we're learning about result clauses, purpose clauses, and then gerundives. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the result clause. All right, so the result clause, as it sounds, expresses a result in Latin. So something happens in such a way that it results in another thing. So some words that can set off a result clause are these. So first we have Tom plus an adjective, and Tom means so it intensifies the adjective. So you could have something that's so beautiful, or so old, or I don't know, so shiny. Any adjective can have Tom with it. The next one we have is adeo, meaning to such an extent. So if you have just a regular sentence, for instance, he was riding his bike to such an extent that he became exhausted, it just kind of intensifies the verb itself. So you do something to such an extent with adeo. Seek and ita also go with the verb, so they both mean thus or in such a way. So if you are, swimming in such a way that you get eaten by a shark, maybe you're thrashing around a lot, I don't know, you would use seek or ita. You're doing something in such a way. Tantus, as you can see, has adjective endings, the us, so it goes with a noun, just like an adjective would, and it means so great. So the amount of gold was so great that it must be stolen. So here you are intensifying a noun. It is so great that something else results. Tote also goes with a noun. It doesn't have any adjective endings. It always looks like tote, and it means so many. So there were so many flowers that the field was full of them. I don't know. So tote means so many, and it just goes with whatever noun. It doesn't have any endings, so it goes with the noun that's closest to it. And finally, we have talis is e. So here it also has your adjective endings, although this one's third declension, this one's first and second declension. So talis is e is going with a noun, just like tantus is, acting as an adjective. And while tantus means so great, talis means of such a sort. So the band was of such a sort that people begged them to play all night, for instance. So one way to remember this is tantus is similar to quantus, so we get quantity from that, so it's an extent or an amount, versus talis is related to qualis, quality, so it's of a sort. So quantity, how many, quality, what kind. All right, so in the first part of your sentence, you'll have one of these words triggering the result clause. Something is happening to such an extent or so much or in such a way that it triggers a result. And the result part of the sentence looks like this. So once you have your first part of the sentence set up with its nouns and verbs and everything, you get either an ut or an ut non, kind of like an indirect command or perficio or accidit ut, and then a subjunctive. So result clauses that are positive, something happens in such a way that something else happens, you get ut and then a subjunctive. If something happens to create a negative result, so something was done in such a way that another thing did not happen, you get ut non and then a subjunctive. So notice in your indirect command, you have ut in the positive and then you'd have ne in the negative. I command you to do something and I command you not to do something would have ne. Here we have ut non instead of ne. So that's one way you can tell this apart. If you have ut non, it's probably a result clause. So ut or ut non plus a subjunctive is a result clause. All right, so for an example, here we could have varies, subject of our sentence, is, est, Tom nefarious, so evil, right? Tom goes with an adjective, means so evil that ut plus the subjunctive, so it's a positive result, that no one, Nemo, likes him. So that would be an example of a result clause. Something happens to such an extent, he is so evil, with the result that no one likes him. Okay, the next type of construction for today is the purpose clause. So this is set up very similarly, but the meaning is different. So it won't have any of those words we saw before, like the tantus, tam, tot, talis, none of those. And it will be for a purpose. So before we had something happens in such a way with the result that something else occurs, and for the purpose clauses, as you would expect, you do something for a purpose. So you are intentionally doing something so that something else happens. So as you can see, it's set up very similarly. So in the positive, you still have that ut plus the subjunctive. So I do something for the purpose, ut, that this subjunctive happens. In the negative, however, we don't have the ut non, so this is more like the indirect command in that it has a ne plus the subjunctive in the negative. I do something so that this other thing does not happen. I don't want it to happen. So when you get to purpose clauses, you really have to pay attention to the meaning of the sentence to determine what's going on. So usually it will make sense in context that whoever the subject of the sentence is doing something for a specific purpose. All right, so to demonstrate, we have this nice sentence. So he did this thing, neuter hoc, so that ut, sit, he may be, or he is, kind, benignus. So he did something with the purpose that he would be doing kind things, so that he himself would be kind. So maybe he called a relative, sent a text to someone he hadn't seen in a while, contacted someone who might be lonely, and then you get so that he might be kind. So you have ut plus the subjunctive, and it is clearly a purpose clause because he is doing this for the purpose that he would be kind. Okay? Here, just for practice, we have the opposite. So here we have past tense, which sets up our imperfect as opposed to present. So he did this, ne, negative purpose clause, so that not, esse is just the past tense of sit, so that he would not be malus, bad, or evil. So here we have the negative purpose clause, he did this so that this other thing would not happen. So he did it on purpose so that this would not happen. All right, last detail about purpose clauses is what we have here. So I talked to you a little bit, I think last week, maybe the week before, but if you have si, nisi, num, and ne, all the ali's go away is the proverb. So here in the purpose clauses, in the negative, you have ne. So if you have quis or quid, they're really aliquis or aliquid. So you just have to pretend there's an ali in front of them. It just happens to go away if you have any of these setting up the clause. So if you have ne quis, it means not anyone, as opposed to not who, which wouldn't really make sense. So ne aliquis, not anyone. Okay, so the main difference between result clauses and purpose clauses is in meaning. So for instance, if you had the sentence in English, he was so hungry that he won the pie eating contest without even trying, that would be a result because he was so hungry that this other thing just happened to occur. Versus a purpose clause would be something like, he didn't eat all day so that he could win the pie eating contest, in which case he's clearly putting in some effort for the purpose of winning the pie eating contest. So that's the major difference there. So on page 222, as you can see here maybe, you have a list of everything that ut can do, so I definitely recommend giving that a look through. I'm going to post another video today about all the uses of the subjunctive that we know so far as a review, but definitely give that a look through so that you can practice. All right, so our next topic of today is gerundives. Okay, so just to really quick recap participles. So here's our chart. And up until now, we've learned the future, amatoris, I'm going to love, future active. We've learned the present active, amans, loving, currently. We've learned the active past tense, so perfect active, only for deponents. So we have minatus, having threatened. And then the perfect passive, only for non-deponents, so amatus, having been loved. There is no present passive, and today we're going to talk about the future passive. So it's not quite the same as the other participles, it's kind of its own thing, but the gerundive fills in for the future passive participle, so that's the closest we can get to having a clear category for it. So it is the future passive is where it fills in on this chart. All right, so in terms of form, here's what they look like. So you take the verb stem, so ama in this case, you add an nd, and then your first and second declension endings. So you get amandus. So the nd is what's going to set it up as a gerundive. So if you ever see that nd, you know this is the sort of thing you're going to be dealing with. And then down here, it's the same thing for deponent verbs. So you could have mina nd plus us aum. So minandus aum is the gerundive for a deponent. So in meaning, these are similar to a future passive participle, so you could translate them as going to be whatever. So if you have amandus, it would be going to be loved or about to be loved, as opposed to amatoris, which is going to love or about to love in the active. All right, so a quick example from your homework to go through that. So here we have interficiendos for our gerundive, and that's agreeing with hostis. Remember, long is is accusative plural for I stems. So the leader, dukes, suscepit, took or captured, the enemies about to be killed or going to be killed with interficiendos. So it's acting like a participle. It's an adjective ending, agreeing with hostis, and it means about to be or going to be killed in this case. So now that you know its basic meaning, we can talk a little bit more about how it's really used in Latin. So in Latin, it often has a sense of purpose because it's that future idea. So if you have a verb like curo, for instance, I take care that, or I try in some way, that can take a gerundive. So he curat, he takes care that the bridge is made, or he takes care, or he cares for the bridge going to be made. So in some way, he kind of brings about the making of the bridge, but really it's just he takes care of the bridge needing to be made or going to be made, about to be made, that sort of thing. The other use with the purpose idea is we can have ad plus an accusative gerundive and noun. So in this example, we have ad urbem delendam. And so ad here means for or for the purpose. So if you do something ad urbem delendam, you do something for the purpose of destroying the city. So here you can kind of switch it around. So literally it would be toward the city going to be destroyed, but you can switch it to for destroying the city just to make better sense in English. So if you want, you can make it active, for destroying the city, as opposed to for the city going to be destroyed. Right, so the last way we're going to use the gerundive today is with gratia or causa. This has that same idea of purpose. So either gratia or causa means for the sake of. They're always in this ablative form if you're using them in this way. And they take a genitive that goes before them. So as you can see in this example, we have doni, dandi, causa. So here it's for the sake of, causa, for the sake of gifts going to be given, or again, you can change it around so it's for the sake of giving gifts if you want to make it better English. All right, so go ahead, practice with those. I will be posting a subjunctive video later on, so if you want more review of result and purpose clauses, you can look there. Again, feel free to send me any questions. Make sure you post on the discussion board this week and get in contact if you have anything you want to say. All right, see you later.